Yeah, we're live.
Okay, she's going to feed us the questions. All right. Hey, everybody, what's the date today? The 16th?
17th.
17th, April 17th, 2020, the year of COVID-19. This is our third week in a row coming to you guys from My Home Group offices. Mike and I are joined today by Sherrie Travers and Karl. We are from the upstairs senior wing, where I believe you have to be a minimum...
Sherrie's a guest in the senior wing.
minimum of 50 years old and above and have like 100 years of experience, which Karl covers for all of us.
Absolutely.
The stairway to heaven over there.
Absolutely.
So here's the deal. We're going to have a little fun today, but we're also going to hit some stuff that may not be real estate related. It might be any business related, you know, and just kind of dealing with our experiences in fighting and getting knocked down and getting back up and getting knocked down and getting back up, because all of us on this panel have experienced, getting our asses kicked, and then you either come back or you give up. So,
I'm really good at getting my ass kicked.
yeah, I've gotten my ass kicked. Look at it. I mean, yeah. So that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today. We originally promoted today as a day in the life of a successful realtor during COVID-19. We'll still kind of stick with that.
But then he invited me and said, well, that's not going to work.
That went out the window when we
Exactly.
invited Karl. So we'll still kind of cover some of that, but let me start it off by saying this. So I have not been holed up in my house. I have a private office that I go to where there's I'm social distanced by the nature of my office. So I have been able to get out. I'm showing properties, I'm working with clients, I'm taking precautions, whether it's gloves or hand sauce and masks and whatever it is that my clients are comfortable with, I'll do. To the extent of a full suit if I have to. I don't know where to get one.
And technically, we're not practicing social distancing. We're not truly 6 feet away, but we're facing away from each other, so it's all good.
Yeah, so
we did the algorithm.
We've all been quarantined for 4 weeks. I think we're fine. Yeah.
So Kelly suggested that this is almost like an episode of The View. So I'm not sure which each of us are, and I'm not volunteering to be. We might appoint Karl a certain position.
I guess I should watch that show so I know how I fit in.
I know.
But I have opinions and I have thoughts.
Probably not, because I don't think any of us fit the. Anyway, so that's where we're at. So let me start with this. The point that I was making that I've been out is every time that I run into a realtor, whether it's a My Home Group agent or whatever, I always get asked the same question, and that's, how's business? And my response is it's different, but it's the same. So the real estate industry, from the base, the foundation of the industry, it hasn't changed. You know, we facilitate the purchase of property or the sale of property, and that hasn't changed. So how we go about doing business has changed without question, and this may be a permanent change. I mean, I'm sure there'll be things that will come out of this that will stay more permanent, be our new normal.
Yeah, I definitely think some things will
for whatever that is. I heard the other day that handshakes are going to be kind of a thing of the past, and I don't know that I agree with that.
I hope not, but
yeah, I hope not. But hugs, whatever, so we'll see what happens. But let's talk about business, and not just. I know there's some people out here that I told we were doing this today that are in the financial industry. I know there's somebody out here that's a policeman, and he had some interesting things to tell me. So it's not necessarily just real estate we're talking about, it's really our world and what's happened. So when I say it's different but the same,
now, can they ask questions?
yes, they can ask any questions.
Yeah.
Type it into Kelly, and Kelly will say
anytime, type in your question. Kelly will let us know there's a question, and
we want this to be interactive, no doubt. I don't see us on here, Kelly. Am I in the right place? Anyway, okay. So let's discuss kind of some of the ways that our business is the same, but it's different. Like I already said, when we're dealing with clients, it's a little bit different now. You know, maybe they follow you in their car instead of being in your car. You know, and some of us that have been around a little longer and have a knack of learning about people by their conversations, that makes it a little more difficult for us because I know Karl and I have had this conversation, and you know, when you got your clients in the car and they're talking to each other, man, I'm not saying anything. I got 2 ears. I'm just listening, you know, because they're going to tell you a lot about what's really important to them. Or if you're driving by, oh, look, there's an animal hospital really close to this property. That's great. Okay, they have pets. You know, you learn stuff like that. Little things like that we've learned, you know, through the years. All good practices. So you guys throw in any time you want about things that are different. So one thing is we're probably not riding in the same car together. Probably a negative for me because I'm not learning about the clients, but that's just the way it is now. So
well, I think when you talk about what's different, you gotta reel it back a little bit, Johnny, and you gotta say, you know, you're being very polite, and you're like, what the hell? Yeah, this thing's completely screwed up, and can I use profanity on this?
sure, yeah, okay.
No?
I checked with Mark.
He says no.
They're two Chicago guys. It's
So bottom line, Johnny, when I'm like, oh, I would put something in my car, I would interact. That was so much a part of my buyer consultation, okay? And so, but you're jumping a couple steps ahead, because I would imagine that there's some people that are listening and go, well, I don't have a buyer, I don't have a seller, and then what the hell is going on? Because all I hear about this pandemic and everybody's freaking dying, the world is ending. Oh my God, okay? So my point of view is, Sherrie, you know, I said, Sherrie, please, let's make sure we keep selling properties. So whenever you say something like that to Mrs. Travers, she just goes out and keeps selling stuff. So like, she's got buyers every week. She's been putting things in contract.
I have a buyer that reached out the other day that there's 4 of them, 2 kids and the adults, living in a 1,600 square foot home that we sold 2 years ago.
Tell me about this.
And she's like, get me in a bigger house.
Get me out.
Yeah, because they're growing kids, so they're playing basketball in the living room, and they're homeschooling, and she's like, I need something else.
But did I test the homeschooling thing? So I don't know about you guys, but
I'm so glad I don't have to do it.
yeah, like third grade math, I'm pretty much out.
We got 4 boys. You'd be dead.
Chris Travers, if you're listening, there's no way I would ever homeschool you.
Grammar class, I have scars from the
So kudos to our peers that are trying to make a living and then homeschooling your children. God bless you.
Yeah, talk about different but the same.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to homeschool my son that's going to law school.
Right.
Not going to happen. Can't
I
happen.
covered the PE section of homeschooling. But
Well,
you got the
yeah,
backyard
he would
and
start at
some-
9 o'clock at my house and just continue all day. I have very fit children. But
So I think that's a wonderful conversation. I have a buyer. What do I do now? That's a great conversation. I think that 99% of people that are on this call right now, I said, give me a buyer, and then they say they've raised their hand, they want to buy a house, I'm going to get them in a house. I'm going to make it happen. And if you don't say that, then this would be an opportunity to transition to something different, because that is our job. That's what we do.
The buyers don't understand. We have the same buyers we did in February. Are not the same ones, but the same type. But our buyers don't understand anything's different. The buyers that had set their mind on buying a home in February are continuing on, and the question is now, are you still working full time? Did you take a pay cut, anything like that?
Correct. And that's making them take a step back. They're going, oh wait, I just took a 25% pay cut, had one of those. Had a phone call 2 days ago, I had to call them because I read the newspaper that his company had layoffs. I go, how you doing? Not good, just got fired this morning. Okay, not a problem. You're really talented. I know a lot of people. Can't wait to get you back in the workforce. She goes, absolutely. I'm going to call you as soon as I find a job. Right?
Can I touch on that for a second? So that's one of the biggest points I wanted to make today. So right now, think about those buyers. They don't do real estate every day. That's not. You start throwing around acronyms like COE and SPUDs and clues, and I mean, they're like, I don't get it. This is what we do every day. We know that the real estate game has changed. They don't. They haven't bought a house in 5 years or 10 years or they're first-time home buyers. So it's our job to make sure they understand how the process is and how COVID has changed the process and make them familiar with it and make them comfortable. Would you agree?
And they
Absolutely.
don't understand why. Well, what do you mean we can't go through that house today? Well, They're homeschooling right now. You know, to me, that's been the hardest thing is.
Great point.
Yeah, if
Great
it's
point.
vacant, yes. If not, we gotta see what their schedule is today, so.
Can we reel it back even further?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because my point of view is.
Carl was worried.
We wanna-
Carl was worried we wouldn't be able to fill an hour.
Well, no,
That's
so let's not talk about our buyers and sellers. Because they're out here, okay? Let's talk about you and me and our lives and how do I pay my mortgage? How do I pay my bills? And oh my gosh, is my volume drop? Well, hopefully everyone on this call made certain that they were on the Tina Tambor Cromford report, because that's free. This brokerage spends a lot of money for that. If you can't hit that time, Security Title has them. Other ones haven't. Tina is great. I look
There's
at
at least 4 a week she does.
daily observations every morning. I printed out this morning. I'm paying attention to the numbers. I'm looking at the numbers. I know what because I want to see when are we going to turn and where are we going to go. Our indexes are still almost 200. It has to be around 90 to 110 to be normal, okay? We should have 35,000 homes for sale. We got what, 14,732 this morning.
It's
I don't
still
know,
the
I'm
seller's
guessing.
market.
Yeah.
Right.
So she mentioned, was it today's Friday, Wednesday? She said we're basically went from crazy insane to insane.
Right.
Frenzy.
So, yeah.
From frenzy
But
to.
if you see the demand is plummeting because of what Sherrie just said. I don't have a job. I just took a pay cut. The demand's plummeting. Of course, supply is plummeting. So until they marry, until they do that, it's going to still be like that in terms of value. But as realtors, we care about our people, number one. But number two, we kind of want to make a living. And the way we make a living is by selling something. And when the volume drops, there's fewer transactions, there's less money. So you're in a Pollyanna world if you think that, oh, May, piece of cake, bullshit. May's gonna suck, okay? And June, and you better be doing things harder and stronger than you've ever done before.
Because July might be awesome.
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
but you better be breathing.
Well,
if you're not alive, if you're not alive and you're underwater financially and you had to go do something else to take your time away from doing lead generation, you will not be taking advantage of July.
Yeah, you really can't take a step back because COVID's here. You still have to continue to build the relationships through
Absolutely.
this whole time.
Or maybe
so
you're
that
not,
when
maybe
July
you're not
is
selling a
around-
house, but you're
And-
calling them and you're asking them, is there anything you need? Is there anything I can find on this side of town that you haven't been? I did that yesterday. I wandered into a couple of different stores and there were a couple of people that were looking for things and I sent them pictures. I go, look what I found. And they're like, I couldn't find that anywhere in Chandler, you know,
That's one of
so.
my favorite calls to the database, what I call the give back call. I always want to just see, how are you? Is there anything I can help you with? And especially in this time, there's a lot of different ways we can help. And if it's something they need, toilet paper,
That was
or maybe they did get laid off, or they are furloughed, but
So you gotta
maybe there's an
people to
opportunity
call.
for us to help them
Yeah,
reconnecting into another possible position.
And we're always assuming that this audience has done the basics of survivability, which you've done your paycheck protection application.
Yeah.
You've done your emergency EDIL application through SBA. Okay, those are things that as an independent contractor you are entitled to do. You may not want to do it, you may not need it, no problem. But it is forgivable, okay, and you got to make sure you do it right.
Well, you
okay?
have to do them, but they're out of money right
Out
now,
of
so
money.
just submit it, like I
But
did.
you check the box. It's a check the box. What do you do? Well, get to work, Cinderella. There's a lot of work to do
Yeah.
that you have to do. And do you have credit lines that you can capture? On your credit cards that you've got, have you called and asked for deferments? Now, your mortgages, we've been through. Don't get caught up in that whole,
Yeah, the whole
forbearance
forbearance.
bullshit. I mean, you will get your ass kicked, and your clients will get their asses
They
kicked.
need to
if
explain
they-
that to their clients.
Which
Yes.
takes me to one of the main points I wanted to make today. So if you're calling your database, of whoever you're talking to, instead of calling saying, hey, here's the market, sellers, buyers, that's not the conversation. The conversation is, how are you?
How are you?
How's the kids? How's homeschool going? How's whatever, right? You know, let your friends, your database, your connections, let them talk, and then be a resource. If they bring up real estate, great, discuss real estate. My suggestion is, don't bring up real estate. Be a resource.
Now's the time to really talk to them, and we haven't had time in the last few months that we've been, you know, I've got to go, I've got to go into a meeting, and now
They
I'm
have so much
actually
time
having
to talk.
conversations. Yeah.
They all have time to talk. You know, if they're not homeschooling, they're like, oh, another adult just called. yay, this is great. Let me put down my beer. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and another adult now. So I think being that resource, whether it's, I told you a couple of weeks ago that I finally found time to get something done that took me a year to do, and that was my
Underwear?
change my underwear.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I changed my underwear.
Okay.
Underwear.
Actually, I rearranged my underwear.
See?
Too.
That's what I was trying to say.
Since I started wearing them. Those chicks dig me because I
This is too much information. I don't want to know about it.
So my vendor list, I finally got it done with all their emails and their websites and their phone numbers and all, so that I can give it to my client. It took me forever to get that done because life just got in the way, business just got in the way, and so I got it done. So now, as far as being a resource, if I'm talking to somebody and they're saying, yeah, at this time I'm thinking about changing that one room in the house to, remember that room, Johnny, when we bought this house that had that weird wallpaper on it or whatever? I'm thinking about pulling that off and painting. Do you know a painter? Yeah, of course I do. Let me send you my list of referral sources that I've got. Be a resource for people. I played golf yesterday with a buddy of mine that's in wealth management.
Now, did you go in separate carts?
Actually, yes,
Yeah.
everybody's separate cards. Yeah, it's all,
That's why the golf courses look so busy when we drive by. All those people in separate cars.
They're not that busy.
No, they're not, but everybody has separate.
Oh, yeah, they're real busy, right?
And for some reason, the whole golf in time of COVID didn't change my game a bit. I'm still horrible, so.
Oh, I'm gonna add something.
Wait, let me finish this one.
Yes.
So he's in wealth management, controlling people's money and investments and all that. Think about how different his business looks right now with what the market's doing and all that. But he told me, he goes, it's not different. It's really not different because this is temporary. So what was still is. It's just that the way you get there is just a little bit different.
But yeah, I think you need to be careful with that. I agree with you. The temporary, that's what we're thinking about. But to think that it's going to go back to where it was, I think you're fooling yourself.
No, but this is the time to get your affairs in order. You need to call your financial planner. You need to call your lender. You need to see if there's something out there. You need to call your realtor and find out, what kind of equity do I have in my house? Suppose they are going to have to sell her. So I have heard that domestic violence is up. People are alcohol consumption or sales is 50% more. We're going to have some issues coming out of this. Yeah, people who have been together 25, 30, 35 years are now sharing the same space for office and living and everything that they've never had to do before.
PTSD is not just a military term. It's, you can have post-traumatic stress from this. This is tough on a lot of people. There's a lot of people
and that's why just calling and saying hi to somebody can really get them out of trouble.
That's where I was going to add that don't be afraid to Zoom them, and see them face to face and have that conversation.
But maybe be afraid. A lot of people are like, no.
They're already dressed from here up.
I used to have some of that.
Just get the no audio on that.
It's just a great way
no video.
It makes a deeper connection when you're able to talk to them. So if you can do that, I encourage it. So
that makes sense.
Sherrie, you mentioned that you found a Facebook site or something.
Oh yeah, realtors surviving during social distancing.
Check that out. It's a Facebook.
I'm going to double check the name of it, but it's awesome because the.
Can you post it on the My Home Group page so everybody can get it?
It's realtors winning while social distancing. And they just hit their 1,000th realtor the other day. It's only been going for naturally like 2 weeks, I think, not even the whole time. And they have really good, they have funny things to keep you engaged. They have tidbits. They let you know what's going on in the world. And it's not a woe is me website. I think it's very good.
So I think it's our responsibility as humans, not necessarily just as realtors, to be calm. I would advise nobody to try to predict the future. I think that would be a mistake because you don't know, I don't know, none of us know. I think predicting if things go this way, this is the way I see things may come about. If things go this way, it might not be such a good thing. We don't know what's going to happen. I can tell you this, that a long time ago, and it's on tape, so we actually have it, Mike and I both agree, like we said that like April 9th, we were going to hit the low of that news curve, and then it was going to start trending up. and we were right on the button. We missed it by like a day, so while there's all this negativity in the news and all that, and I still stand by, watch an hour of news and then get away from it. There's 500,000 people in this country that have been cured of COVID. You're not seeing that on the news, because news is bad news. Nobody watches
If
the
it
news
bleeds,
to get
it
good
leads.
news. If it bleeds,
Yeah.
it leads. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's your opportunity when you're talking to people to be calm and to be positive. And if you're having a tough time, maybe you need to talk to somebody.
Right.
Let alone the people you're calling. Maybe it just helps.
Call
you.
Johnny.
Call me.
That's
Yeah,
right.
reach out.
Call Sherrie. She's
Just-
always got a smile on her.
Just go through your phone and you find people that,
Don't call me. I'll hold you accountable.
whether they're clients or not, and you call your people, anybody that's in your phone, and you just ask them if you don't want to call them, text them. If you don't want to text them, email them.
Answer your phone.
Yeah, answer your
Answer
phone.
your phone right now. Don't let anybody go to voicemail. If you can answer the phone, stop what you're doing. Answer the phone. If somebody's calling to talk to you, other than the potential spam things that we're all getting, pick up your phone. Talk to people.
And whoever the potential spam was from Russia the other night, not funny.
You didn't answer, did you?
I did not, but
Oh.
it was midnight and there was potential spam from Russia. And I'm like, really?
Which is exactly why I leave my phone in the kitchen.
It was in the kitchen. My wrist was ringing.
Well, I think that, and I keep coming back to the basics because I like to get the bottom set, okay, in terms of dealing with stress, dealing with anxiety, dealing with change, dealing with shift. We're in a shift. And it's yes, we might have a fast rebound, we may have a slow rebound, who knows? But we know it's changed, and we know that we have to be prepared to handle that, right? Mm-hmm. And so we talked about taking care of your personal finances, do what you can do. One of those techniques, what Gubernick used to talk about that all the time, lose your credit cards.
Well, nowadays credit cards are calling you saying you
Yeah,
can
but
pay
you
that.
lose it. We all have in our budget all these auto debits, right? But if you lose, you call, hey, I lost my credit card. Then all of a sudden, you have to then reconnect with that auto debit. For some of those things, you might be able to cancel. What can you change on your budget?
And how many of those things do you have that you're like, oh God, I didn't.
I've been meaning to
I forgot I
answer for
paid
a
for that.
long
Exactly.
time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Johnny, I think you said it in, I think, last week's thing, maybe the week before, where you mentioned, and because I'm guilty of this, I get up every morning and I go through my same routine. It's no different if I'm coming into the office or I get up, my personal trainer keeps me accountable. I then get the shower done and I hit the desk. If I do it anything other than that, it messes me up. And I think you used to do the same even when you were working from home. You used to get all dressed.
I drove someplace, even if it was just around the block.
Yeah.
Drove to get a cup of coffee and came back, I'm at work. That's it. It's just,
I
good
do the
habits.
same thing. I get up, I make my bed, I do my thing, I get to my desk at a certain time, and I'm working. So,
Yeah, there was an admiral or a vice admiral that gave a, what do you call the speech at college?
The
Commencement.
The commencement address, and I'm not even sure where it was, but one of the things that he said, and it's been all over the
Iowa
news.
State.
Was it Iowa State?
I have
He
no
said the
idea.
first
Okay,
thing,
Say it with conviction.
he
even if
said
you don't know the
the
answer.
first thing you should do is get up, make your bed every day. You start the day with a win. You
That's
make
right.
your bed.
That's right.
That
It
makes
makes it
so
the
much sense
only
to me.
task you complete all
Now, of
day
course,
long. with
I'm a
your-
military guy, so I was forced to do it for 4 years, and
That's
now
right.
it's just habit. And sometimes my wife gets a little pissed when I'm making my side of it, and she's still in hers. That's like, stop already. I'm sorry.
But having a routine and a schedule is critically important.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is, and everyone's different. But you have to have that, and you have to. And I fail at that on a regular basis.
Do you get your coffee every morning, Karl?
Absolutely.
Then you don't fail.
That's right.
That's right.
Exactly.
Another military term that I've lived by is and the military does this is there's always going to be adjustments, whether you're in battle or preparing for battle or whatever it is. Make your adjustments and then conquer. So you
Make
make
your zigger zag.
Yeah, that's another great way to put it. Sherrie and I were talking about right now. A lot of people are zigging. Maybe we should be zagging, or the other way around. Find ways. Again, I'm going to go right back to being a resource for people, and being positive. And if you're the one having a problem being positive, reach out to somebody. Have a positive conversation. Whether it's about grandkids or kids or whatever. Find something that's positive.
do we have any questions?
Yeah, any questions, Callie?
Do we have anybody watching?
Yeah, no. Is there everybody watching this one? That's important.
Is there
Because if they're not, then we can change it up a little bit. All right then.
Well, you peaked in the 20s, but you're at 12 now. But it's recording.
Well, there you go. Exactly.
That's okay. Yeah, any questions, throw them out towards.
Yeah, please do.
So here's something that we kind of opened with, and that's that all of us up here have all had our asses kicked in one way or another, whether, you know, it's from a romance or business or whatever. But the whole idea of the senior wing upstairs is we all pride ourselves on having had our asses kicked and kind of recognizing what it's going to take or what maybe the next step might be. So that would be great for questions if anybody has as far as that. So I'll give you one example I had when I was on the USS John Young in 1980, and we were the first ship into the Persian Gulf after the hostage crisis. And we had trained, and it's so monotonous. You know, you go out to sea and you practice for battle, and you practice for battle, and you practice. And it used to be, you know, they come on the loudspeaker, this is a drill, general quarters, and everybody would be like, shit, here we go, we have to do this drill again, and we'd run, and they time us on what time we got set, and, you know, like, a minute and 20 seconds was our fastest ever. And then we went into the Persian Gulf, and they came over the announcing system, the 1MC, and goes, this is not a drill, this is not a drill. Oh, the hair on my arms is standing up. All battle stations, all hands man your battle stations. And it was like, holy shit, this is real. 40 seconds we were set. Like, it was like by the largest stretch. So ready. So that stayed with me all these years, that, you know, you go through your daily, you know, stuff, and, you know, things are good, and, you know, it's hot outside, and we complain about all these different things. Now we all have something to really complain about. So this is where the crossroads is. You're either in or you're out. You're either up or you're down. And Sherrie and I talked about that today, how this may turn out to be the cleanse. There might be a lot of realtors out there that are just like, I gotta go get a job. And I'm not criticizing anybody, but it's reality. So there's how many licensed realtors? And
So over 79,000.
yeah, I predict 20,000 of those will be getting jobs and then become part-time realtors. So what's that mean to the realtors that are sticking this out, that are working right now and maybe working twice as hard to get the same amount of business? You guys want to talk a little bit about that?
I do.
How do you feel?
Oh, this is how I feel for the 12 of us that are here. Let's make it count, okay?
We're up to 15 now.
Okay, well, here's my point, okay? You have a choice every day. You have a choice. And as a realtor, you wake up being unemployed every day, right? I got to go sell a house. I mean, we got a contract last night on a house, and I worked my ass off because there was a showing. Huh, what the hell? We got a showing. Who ever heard of that shit, right? So I'm like, all hands on deck. You know, I'm like, go home to the clients, this is what you're going to do, and you're going to get the hell out. I get there, I get it set up, doors open, booties, gloves, mask, and that experience for that buyer's agent was so wonderful. And I was there to answer all those questions in the background. I was in and out, having to read that situation. So all of my selling experience was on, and got the almost full price offer this morning, over $500,000 for this house, and it's like, well, that's a win, right? I like those. Okay, we like those kind of wins, and the thing is, you've got to be prepared for that. And if you don't have the right mindset, you're screwed, because you don't have the muscle memory of practicing. So that when it's all hands on deck, you go, oh shit, what do I do now, right? So some ideas that I've got to get your mindset with your schedule, which let's pretend that I do it all the perfect way, okay? So do what I say, not what I do, right? But you've got to have your schedule. You get up, first thing, I always check my Cromford numbers. I always do it, daily. If you don't have the Cromford report, give me a call. Call Sherrie. We'll give you an update on what's going on. You got to keep track of it. This morning, okay, Tina talks about the critical factor in the fate of the housing market is whether we see an excess supply or demand. You know, we've heard that. We've seen that. We understand that. But you know what? There are supply that's declined in some cities. There's supply that's gone up in some. Which ones are they? You know, Apache Junction, Buckeye, Levine, Litchfield Park, Maricopa, Sun City, and Tolleson remains well below April 2019 in supply. So I mean, these are important numbers, and you got to pay attention
People
to
are
that.
still looking. We went on under contract on a house a couple of weeks ago, and it was totally virtual. The guy's not here; he's not coming into town for this weekend.
Right.
But it was still a multiple offer situation, and what we're telling our buyers now is, you have a better chance now, even if it's a multiple offer situation, than you did a week ago, a month ago.
I
Because
came in
you
second on a
probably-
multiple deal 4 days ago.
You probably
Still
had
vibrant.
11 contracts before, and this week you may have 2 or 3 you're competing against.
You know, and then year after year, we're getting to that point where folks that are moving schools are looking towards, okay, we're gonna have to have these kids in the new house before August.
Exactly.
School starts in August here, so come, June and July, 30-day
Right.
close, there's people out there thinking, okay, if we're moving, now's the time to do it.
And you have to be calling people to be able to know if they're moving.
Oh, no, you need to be on that.
Right.
And think about all the people that don't do real estate. They buy or sell a house. I think 5 years is like what they say a term is. I mean, I've been in my house for 20.
Yeah.
But let's just say, so they haven't done this in 5 years. They don't remember the whole process. We do it every day. So now all of a sudden it's different. I wouldn't write a contract right now for less than 45 days. At least do on or before, just because guidelines are changing every single day for lenders. Lenders are all getting gray hair because they've got deals that are set, locked, ready to go, and then all of a sudden the guidelines are changing. So it's
And
It's tough.
there was a question yesterday on Facebook, they are checking verification of employment right up to the moment it funds.
day of,
Yeah.
like 5 minutes before
Like
they push the
they're
button.
finding out if somebody's signing, and they're in there checking it, because you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's just like it was just like that a few years ago, where they were double checking. And yes, just because you have it cleared closed does not mean they can't come back.
Oh, how much would it suck if you're there with your clients and they're signing, and all of a sudden somebody walks in and says, we got a problem.
I think
You
not
lost your job yesterday.
not in this
Oh, was I supposed to tell somebody that?
not in this period of time, but in previous, we've seen wires gone out and wires get recalled. So until you hear those words you've recorded,
Yes.
My wife always says,
Yeah.
show me when the money's in the bank.
Mhm.
Then it's closed.
Exactly. And then, I know we all have, but you gotta get the mindset, and some people like to read, some don't, but I know Valentine was doing his deal on Who Moved My Cheese,
Yeah,
right? That's a great
great
little
book.
book, fast, easy read.
Fast, easy.
Great.
Another, I didn't bring it, E-Myth Revisited. Back to the basics, guys. It's back, we've all read this crap, but you go through it and you read again. You know the 10X rule.
Yep.
You know what?
No,
Great
no.
book. Just read it. I mean, it's like, this is more for your teams or how you're organizing, but it's still, everything, what's your wildly important goal? What is it? And what are you doing?
Give us the name of those,
Yeah.
because I don't know if everybody can see them.
I'm sorry. The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. This is really fun, easy.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. The 4 Disciplines of Execution. Sean Covey and Chris, whatever his name is. I can't.
That
say
guy,
it.
Chris, this guy.
Then going back to 20 plus years ago,
Yeah.
right? Millionaire real estate agent.
it's longer than
So-
that.
Yeah.
So boring, but it's the basics of what we do. So it's back to the basics. How do you clean and fire your gun, right? You need to be able to do the basics. And then what about the Shift? Shift is a great book by Gary Keller.
I have a couple more along the lines with Who Moved My Cheese. There's a book called Raving Fans.
Oh, that's a
It's
great
an amazing book. That
Yes.
was really good. It's a quick read too.
Yes.
Mr. Schmooze is another great one. It's a real quick read. Atomic Habits is another one I think.
You could probably put a reading list out.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, maybe we
Why don't
should
you
put
do
it
that?
on my home.
Michael, that'd be a great
website,
thing because
Make them. The motivational ones are fun
Yeah.
when we're in a normal cycle, but even when you just take something like Who Moved My Cheese, and it could be very generic. It doesn't have to be a salesperson. It
Right.
can be anything.
I'm a reader. I like to have one fiction and one nonfiction going at all times.
Yeah.
So one's like keeping me really focused and
The other one's fun.
even if it's not even a self-help book, it could be an autobiography or something, and then some silly story. That's the ones with all the sex in it. No, I'm just kidding.
So let's go there. One more. I mean, you got my attention now. We talked about mindset. We've done all this. It's all great. And then you were talking about with our experience and just to validate it. I mean, I've had my ass kicked really, really soundly several times. And the one thing I'm good at is getting up and keep on going. I mean, I have stamina. I guess is my one thing, right? Which isn't always what I'm the most proud of, but I mean, I've been down so subterranean, and I've come back. And the key to this is you have to keep on keeping on. You just have to. And the question would be, you always go to those sales, they get up there and they say, if your child was walking across the tightrope or saving them from a fire, would you do? Of course you would. You would do whatever it took to save your child, right? You understand that story? Yeah, right, exactly. It's like, will you walk across this tightrope? Hell no, that's stupid, I'd die. But your child's dying on the other side. Yes, you're going to cross, you're going to do whatever it takes, right? And so we have to get down to your emotion that you had in those 40 seconds when you were all hands on deck. When you said, holy mother of God, I'm going to die if I don't do this shit.
This is real.
We all have to do this together. I'm going to die. Okay? So that emotion, that attitude plays into this is battle when we go out, and we forget. You talked about kind of going into that sense of we just kind of get lazy, we do our thing. But what if you had to sell a house this week?
What would you do?
What if I have to? I have to in this market.
And a lot of you,
what do
I
I
don't
do?
know how many people are on here, but
You may choose not to. That's really hard. I don't do that. But
Well,
what
not
would
only
you do?
that, what if you had a buyer one reason Neil is not here is he had a buyer this morning.
Yeah.
It's
Deal that
not
fell
like
through yesterday?
he had a deal fall through and he had to be back out there. So if you're down or you're not working and your buyer is like depending on you and you're not performing.
Whatever it takes.
wait, I got a question for you. What if I was sitting out here and I raised my hand and said, sure, I don't have any buyers?
You do,
So
everybody
I'm
has a
like-
buyer.
That's the key to this whole thing. It's out there.
You have somebody in your database that knows somebody that needs to buy, sell, or rent. Rent, that's right, I said rent. You might have to write a lease contract.
I know 3 rentals.
Let's go through that
I do
script.
too,
Let's
yeah.
do that script, okay? So Sherrie calls me, and you said, well, how are you? I'm doing fine. Is there anything I can do for you? No, I'm great. Thanks for asking, Sherrie. But what's the natural response?
Because you can find me some toilet paper, Karl.
You know, I have some. I get it. But the natural response that I'm going to have when Sherrie says that, I'm going, that's so nice. Well, how about you, Sherrie? You doing okay? Is there anything I can do for you? And if she, at that moment, we've been all nice and played. If she goes, you know, Karl, I could really use your help. If you went there, right? Could really use your help. Well, okay. I mean, really, do you know of anyone that may need to buy or sell or rent? I mean, I'm not trying to push you, but do you know of anyone that I can call? I mean, are you really going to do that? Probably not. But if you did, and you called every single person you know, and you had a really great conversation, and forget this, I'm going to call 10 people a day, and then maybe you get 8 of them done, call Sherrie and say, hey, I got 8 calls done today, Sherrie. But no, I'm doing 30 or 40, and I'm like on it, and I'm all day, and I'm gonna find a buyer or a seller or a tenant or a landlord, somebody that needs my help. I need a client. I got to get a client this week. If you're really going to do that, you're going to get a client. Somebody's going to be in trouble. It could be a landlord that's like, crap, I have this Airbnb and it's vacant and I need to find a tenant. Well, I can do that. So you only made $300. Oh, well, you made $300, right?
That's your liquor.
And you
fee.
might created a referral from us.
There's your pitch right there.
That may be 1 or 2 days for you and I, Johnny, but, you know.
How about wearing a name tag if you go to the grocery store? If you gotta go pick up groceries, people are going to the grocery store right now. They're not. This is different. If you're in there and you're wearing a name tag that I'm a realtor, they're like, wait, you're working? You're like a work.
A lot of people-
Realtors are still working.
A lot of people don't realize we're essential. I talked to a gal in Texas. They're not essential.
What was that post? I'm essential. I'm kind of a big deal. around here.
Yeah, exactly.
But really,
they
I
don't
mean-
realize we're out. I mean, you and I have both written a bunch of leases in the last couple of weeks because people's leases are ending, and for whatever reason, they can't stay where they're at. So the reason we're as essential is we have to find them someplace to live.
Let me interject a little positivity to that. So all these rental properties that we have that have affected our inventory to sell, those numbers are all changing too.
Oh, yeah.
If you had a rental and you go 3 months without renting it, there goes your profit for the year. And a lot of people are just going to be going, maybe we'll do this again in a couple of years.
Or maybe they'll sell it.
And those properties are gonna come out on the market and say, yeah, I just need to get out of this, and I'm paying 3 mortgages right now, 2 rentals on my own, and.
But making that phone call might have gotten you that contact with the person that's in that
Just never know.
situation.
You gotta talk to,
They're
you
not
gotta
wanting
talk
this
to
for
twice
them.
as many people
Yeah.
now as you're waiting for.
The only thing that is the wrong thing to do is to do nothing.
Yeah.
Bingo.
That if
We
you,
could erase the whole board and just
Yeah.
put that up there. The wrong thing to do right now is nothing.
right,
Absolutely. Wow. You're really smart sometimes.
every once in a while.
That's a really profound statement.
That's
I love it. So true. Yeah, so true. Let me go back to what Karl had said, and I don't know Sherry's.
How many people we got? Are we below 10?
No, we're up to 18 now.
Look at that! Thanks, guys. That's awesome.
So when
I
Real
called
question?
all my kids and asked them.
all how these kids are watching, go mow the backyard, kids. Watch the windows. Your mom's getting that. So here's something. I'm going to go back and just kind of mold everything that we've been talking about together. When you've had your ass kicked, and I've had my ass royally kicked, and you know, you have a choice of either being the person that gets up or just says, I'm going a different direction or whatever. That's your choice. Some people are just made that way, but one thing that I can guarantee you, all of us that are sitting here this morning that have had our ass kicked, we learned from that ass kicking. I guarantee you learned from that ass kicking. So here, my point is, maybe this is something that's gonna inspire you to change your normal, your new normal. So if all of a sudden you got to work twice as hard because you have to find somebody to work with, geez, what if I did that all the time and the market was great? Then what? All of a sudden, what does your business look like? Now it's really changed because now your habits have changed. Maybe it's time to start hiring people because you're going to be that busy.
The iBuyers have paused. There's still people out there that need to sell their house.
Good for us.
You better figure out, there's still people that want to move and they need to move now, and they're going to find out they're going to make a lot more money using a realtor than they were in one of those programs.
Absolutely.
So
I literally had somebody call me and tell me that their realtor is only working on weekends right now because obviously they had to get another job and that doesn't work for us. Would you be okay working with
Wow.
us because their realtor had to get a job? You know, I feel bad, but at the same time, this is what I do. This is why I get up every morning.
We always had a job. That realtor had a job. They decided to get another job.
Right.
And
Right. He had a hobby. This is a job. Real estate's a job. It's 60, 70 hours a week if you're really doing it right. So
Just quick reminder, we love your participation, so please, anything at all, any questions, anything we can help you with.
maybe a comment. Do they have any
Comment,
comments?
anything.
you know what? You guys are doing this all wrong. Okay, you're salespeople. So here's the deal: the next person to send in a question, whatever it may be,
you're going to give them
John
your buyers. Certain
buy you a drink. Buy you a drink
buyers.
as soon as this whole thing calms down. I'll buy you a drink.
Actually, Neil, when we decided to do this, Neil goes, "Can we drink before this?" I go, "Before, during, and after." It's, you know, however you want to do it.
But the
We
point
won't
is,
tell Neil that.
Yeah.
but the point of all this is to have a conversation, right? The point of this is to know that you're not alone. That we're all in this thing together. And there's so many. There's sometimes you get inundated from the time. Everybody's got to listen to this podcast, listen to this Facebook meeting, go look at this Zoom meeting. I mean, there's so much to
So much
choose from
zooming
now.
going on.
And you can spend your whole time getting motivated, not actually doing it, right?
Yeah.
So
And no matter how long you've been in real estate, whether it's 1 month, 10 years, 15 years, whatever, if you don't know what that looks like, the things that we're talking about, and maybe you don't want to ask in front of other people, private message me, private message Kelly, ask. You know, it might be something you're like, oh, well, shoot, I can do that. You know, something that you just haven't done. Think of all the realtors that live on referrals.
I think
and they're just not getting any right now.
so many
All of a sudden
people
it's like, I gotta get a
you
deal.
hear all these scripts thrown at them. And the simplest script right now is,
Hi.
how are you?
How's it going?
right.
That's it. It's
One of my
the
favorites.
easiest conversation starter because there's a lot to talk about. Whether you believe this is going on or you don't believe this is going on, we're all in it. We're all doing the same thing. We're all staying home. We're social distancing. We're doing whatever. We've all had to adjust whether you believe it or not.
Yeah, and the response, how's business? It's different, but it's the same. It's not negative. It's a little harder right now. Absolutely, yeah. We're
It's that was more normal.
but
right
it's
now.
different.
People are having to qualify for homes, really qualify with down payments, not like they have in the past where it's just been like, let's put you into this program. So now we've got that going on, but it's just it's a process, and it probably in the end is going to end up being a much sounder market.
Yeah, it's time for guerrilla marketing. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. If it's going and standing out in front of the grocery store, which I've done, and anybody that's taken my classes know that I was successful at that, and just handing out flyers saying, hey, look, it's a tough time right now. If you need anything real estate related, even if it's just advice for somebody in Iowa or whatever, use me as a resource. Let me be a resource. You're just opening a conversation with somebody. You never know where that conversation is going to go. And all of us agree that there's never such thing as one deal. It always leads to another one. If you're doing your job right, one deal there's never a one-off deal. Unless there's a death in the family. I mean, but there's never.
I mean, if you don't.
Oh, you're right. I like them.
You like
Yeah, and I don't like your family either. So, which was pretty much what we felt about Karl, but then he paid us to like him. So
Yeah, exactly.
he buys us lunch once in a while.
I didn't know you were so open to a bribe. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
It was the Chinese food.
Exactly. But I think that it comes back down to that, as realtors, whether they have a team of 100 or they're a solo practitioner, it always comes down to, well, what are the best practices and what is the best way to lead generate? And, you've got your marketing and you've got your prospect. And how do those two, a lot of these things, you can't go knock on doors and well, I guess you could, couldn't you? There's lots of things you could do that we're not really thinking about. How are we doing that? And so this is a time of change, and with that change comes creative thought, and it comes down to what can I do to help someone?
Yeah, I'm a big open house guy, and that's just not the right thing to do right now.
Right.
For me, I can do open houses virtually, and I'm glad to do those. But sitting open
Have you had
houses
any
right
success on the MLS by doing a virtual open house?
I have, but remember, I get a lot of relocations, so I have people from Chicago that are calling me, and I'm sending them stuff. They're like, this house kind of interests me, and I'm glad to go do a
Well, that's a virtual showing, right? But MLS you can actually schedule an open house.
Showing Time has a new thing. It's the virtual open house on Showing Time. I haven't used it yet.
Okay.
Have you?
There's 2 questions.
Oh,
Well, look at that. Well, who was first? Because they get a free drink.
I think Sonia.
Oh, give
Okay.
them both. Give them both.
Oh, we'll give them both a drink. It'll be a friggin' happy hour.
And that's as soon as we
Okay.
can have a gathering.
Okay, you guys ready? Here's the question.
Yeah.
I have a condo this is from Sonia. I have a condo for rent and have noticed that agents are not showing properties right now. We have been on the market for almost 30 days.
Is it occupied?
Yeah, that would be the first question, is it occupied? And then realistically, the rental market right now, if you have something on the rental market and it's not gone in a week, there's an issue.
The rental market's changed though, so it depends on where it is and what your price is and what you're competing with, Sonia. Because if it is, because don't forget, a lot of the Airbnbs have now moved into the rental market. So
But they're all furnished, and that's an issue.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sun handles.
Yeah.
So the question is, if you're trying to rent a furnished high-end condo, 30 days in a rental, I mean, that's like something's wrong. Okay, the price is too high, the photos suck. Now, the one thing we've learned the hard way is that if our photos are only okay, we're going to get our ass kicked. So we're spending money on rentals that we don't normally do, and we tell our client, look, we're here for you for the long run. We're going to help you. We try to get them to pay for it, okay? But we sometimes, if you're just taking cheap photos, but we'll go all in on the rental and make sure that the photos are rock solid.
Because they can always use the reuse.
Use them again.
Yeah.
It's part of their portfolio of what they can do again and again. And it's a rental, not big money, but go there with your phone and stand outside. Make it generic, not branded. Okay. Vimeo is easy to do because YouTube has a tendency to put the branding on there. But you do a walkthrough as if you're showing it to someone. and you don't say who you are, you don't show a picture of your sign, and you should note all the details of that home. And the MLS, you can put that as a video, okay? Is it fancy? No, but it gives someone the opportunity. Now, our more expensive homes, we're going to make sure that we use Matterport as well as a self walkthrough, and we make certain that every single agent that has we're trying to get the damn thing rented. What is it going to take? You call up, do reverse prospecting, do whatever you got to do to call those people and say, look, I'm going to go do this for you. I'll go show it for you to your clients, right? But if it's occupied, then you really have a challenge. That's probably the problem.
I had one a couple of weeks ago where most of them.
Is it occupied? Did she respond?
Most of them were vacant that we went to, but we did have a tenant that didn't want us to show it, and we had the tenant do a walkthrough. Just do something on your phone and send it over. So.
Okay, here's a great question.
Okay.
So this is from Nicole. Are agents still doing open houses? As a new agent, I don't have prior clients to pull from. Okay, so that's a great question, and I'm an open house guy. I live and breathe on open houses. I love open houses, mostly because I like to talk and meet people, and I'm not afraid or anything that way. So no, people are not. The market is not the same with open houses. Can it still be? I'm still seeing open house signs as I'm driving around on the weekends. How people are doing them, I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to stop by this weekend if I see any and just see how they're going. But ultimately, what's an open house? I mean, let's face it, it's really not to sell that house. I mean, if we're really talking turkey, it's to meet people that might be interested in that area or so many different things. And how many times have you shown an open house and actually sold it? I mean, it's happened to me once.
She doesn't have a listing she's trying to sell.
She
wants to generate more. So here's an idea. Here's a creative thought. I'm a brand new agent, but everyone's hunkered down. You don't want to expose yourself. Let's say I don't want to do an open house or get social shaming. Because,
you get social shamed if you go out and you do it, and half the world saying you shouldn't, and half the world says you should.
So here's an idea. I have an idea for you, because you have to talk to people. The more people you talk to, and the more they see that you have energy and you're willing to do something, this is something that would work. You call up your title company and say, hey, I need a list of names. I found this empty house here. It's vacant. I called the realtor. They said, sure, you can do a virtual open house. I'm not, okay, but you go right ahead. Now, is anyone going to go to your virtual open house? No. But you need people to call. You can't do an open house to meet people. You have to find people to talk about it, right? So call your title company and say, I need a list. I need at least 100 names surrounding this, maybe 200 names. I need phone numbers and email addresses and mailing addresses. So get to work, okay? Get a list of names surrounding a vacant house where someone says they'll let you do it. And we've got one. If you need it, call Sherrie, okay? And so
Karl will pick up his phone.
I'll hold you accountable, okay? So then get that list of names. Then you're either going to send them a letter, okay? You could walk the neighborhood, but then it's a piece of paper that's got germs on it. That might be weird, okay?
Send them an e-flyer.
Right.
Yeah.
And whatever, you're going to promote the fact that you are doing this open house virtually on this day and time. And do you know of anyone that might be interested in being on your Zoom call? Right? Or on your Facebook
call? Or you
call?
live in this neighborhood, so you must like it. Do you know anybody else that might be interested in that neighborhood?
And have you seen this listing? Oh, this listing that came up with all this, isn't this crazy? But a lot of people really would like to go see their neighbor's house, but they haven't had a chance. So I'm going to be holding this virtual open house. Would you like to, as a neighbor, you're welcome to see it. Do you have the floor plan? Are you familiar with it? So you're doing a lot of work for nothing, for someone else's listing, but it's giving you the opportunity to talk to somebody.
So
right?
My biggest success in open houses is that I don't knock doors before the open house. I knock doors after. It's not a well-established way to do stuff. Most people don't. But the whole reason I do it is I take a list and I talk to people. I say, hey, look, I had 18 people through today. This with this and this with this. But I had 9 people that just didn't like that floor plan, but they love this area. If you had any interest in listing your home, there might be interest in this area. You might want to think about it. And just open a conversation. Don't push. Don't be salesman. Just say, this is the facts. This is how many people I had. So as far as virtual, you can take the results of your virtual open house and totally build on that. I did a virtual open house. I had 19 people call me or see this video or go through the open house and use that as a talking point.
And you brought up going in and doing a video of the open house. I mean, so in other words, maybe you find a vacant house and you get permission to go and do the video. So you go and do the video. Right. Then maybe use a social media platform to let people know that you
post that.
Show.
I've got this. You want to get them in and Nicole? Is it Nicole?
Yes, Nicole.
So Nicole, you may not have any past clients, but you know somebody. Either if you're brand new, I moved here brand new, fresh, you know, soul. But that's why I met people open houses. But I mean, you know people, whatever. You have a life, you have connections. So make sure you call all of them.
And just think, say, right when you got out of prison and moved here.
That's right.
Life changed.
and I never lied. I didn't lie about it, but you know, it was still. My
He's got chest tattoos.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're new. If you're new, she's a new agent.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, number one thing any agent should be really doing right now is their database. I mean, that's number one, and that's always number one. So database, you should be working that. Well, the open house, try it.
But that's a great tool for the database. It's another thing to talk about because if you're a new agent, these are people that you know. You're saying, and you have, how are you doing? What you can do? They say, what can I do for you, Sherrie? She goes, well, you know, I'm doing this virtual open house on
This is a good opportunity for Nicole. Figure it out, right? Be the one to do something different on an open house.
I would tell.
Why not make a custom sign in the front yard that says virtual open house this Saturday? Call me.
Call me. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Or even better yet, let's take it back a spot. Nicole, do you have a title partner? Do you have a lending partner? Do you have a home warranty partner? Reach out to them. Get them to get some ideas.
Yes, she does. And if she doesn't, she'll have them by the end of the day because she called Michael and
Absolutely.
You know, why not set up the signs like the people that go to the house?
Yeah.
They have a big sign in there. Call for virtual.
That's a great idea, Michael. Right?
That is a great idea. Set up your sign.
And
then just call a big open house. So gonna do that.
I'll find stores. They can have you some signs made by.
No, I just got 10 brand new signs I haven't been able to use, so I got like 20
That's
signs.
I'm
doing that.
That's a great idea.
So just set up your signs.
Hey, Kelly.
Okay, so the other people that didn't make this call, Nicole's got a leg up. She's on it. Yeah.
Kelly tells me that she can get those little things where they stand on the corners and flip it around. Kelly's going to get all the rods out. And they're going to stand out inside of the open house for 2 hours with these things that says virtual open house. Call me. It'll be great.
And then you want a teenager to move.
I actually have a friend that has a real life, like,
the little thing that does
I don't
this.
recall, but and it's a person, and they dress it up in their company hat and all that stuff, and they just say open house, and it's this thing.
We have a lender that has that thing that does this. You know?
Call your title rep. Your title rep can be so valuable right now, Nicole. If you don't have one, get one. Call me, call Karl, call Kelly, call Mike.
Call Sherrie.
Call Sherrie. You notice I didn't say Sherrie at first because she's actually doing all Karl's work right now.
I don't do a damn thing.
Sherrie's really busy.
You heard it here. I think that's going to start a new trend. People are going to have signs.
I so love that idea.
I think that's.
And then when people drop it, they'll be like, "This isn't open
Why
house."
not be the brokerage that does that, right?
Maybe we should have another My Home.
Kelly, we need
all virtual.
Blast. What's that thing we did? We need an open house blitz.
A blitz, all virtual. So put it.
That's a get back to you on that because that this could be.
And it's 11 o'clock. We're out of time.
One last question. Someone asked about database.
Okay.
And
What's the question?
Hang on 1 second. So Sonia, Karl said that it's $12.50 a month, unfurnished, and it was occupied and not anymore. I think not being occupied will change.
It's going to change
everything.
Where's it at?
Yeah, without
Did she
question.
say where it's at?
She didn't say where it was at.
$12.50. Those are really good.
That's a good price point.
Yeah.
What was the database question?
What do you guys like for a database? Okay, I'll go first. What do you guys like for a database?
Oh, okay.
So
you mean a CRM or a database?
I'm assuming you mean the CRM.
Okay.
So I use LionDesk because I'm an idiot when it comes to technology. Because I'm old and I don't get it. I don't do InstaChat or ChapSnat or any of that stuff. And I find LionDesk very easy to navigate around. That's
Here's the answer. The best one is the one you're going to use. So, I mean, a lot of times people could spend a lot of research
It could be an
on
Excel
different
worksheet.
CRMs, but
Put it on an Excel worksheet.
What's
You know,
that?
put it on an Excel
Yeah, if
worksheet
you-
and have
Write it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about this shit. Okay, back in the '80s, my first sales job, we had index cards and with names,
We did
and
too.
we
I
had
had a Rolodex.
months, and we had
Rolodex.
it was a CRM.
Carl,
So-
you're probably bringing up, if this person was born in the 80s, they probably don't
Yeah.
know what the index card is or what.
So here's my point. Here's my point. We use Brevity. We love Brevity. Okay, but
But
we're.
Wise Agent's good.
But you didn't start with Brevity, you started somewhere.
And my point of view is that,
We did talk
and
about
I
that.
even get lazy, okay? And I lean on this tool, and it's just a friggin' tool. The database is the database. It's the people. And Sherrie hit the nail on the head. First off, if you don't have a database, then step number one, you put those people's names, first name, last name, phone number, address, on an Excel spreadsheet, okay? And then you go through the spreadsheet and you call every single.
That's how I started. I started with a notebook and an
And a
Excel
calendar.
spreadsheet because I was broke. Like when I literally started, I borrowed $80 to get
I was
to
broke.
start my career. But I graduated, so I went from the notebook to the Excel spreadsheet. I used Joe Stump's system. It was $25 a month. Then I went to Market Leader, and then I went to Conversion, and then I went as much as spent $1,500 a month for a system for a while when I had a team. But honestly, what you need to do is take a look at what it is that you're going to do for your business too, because there is such a thing of getting a system that's too many bells and whistles for what you're doing.
Wise
So-
Agent is very simple.
Very
It's here
simple.
in town.
Line
It's
desk,
line desk,
$19
line
a
desk.
month, I think. And
Yeah.
I think if you go through a title company, it's even less. And you can keep your accounting on it,
Yep.
your database.
Yeah, if you want more information, Michael Marlowe, myhomegroup.com. I teach classes on CRMs. I'm happy to talk about that if you want to.
Sonia, Thompson Peak and Frank Lloyd Wright for $1,200 a month,
Oh my
and
God.
now it's vacant.
Son, you got a problem. There's something wrong.
Yeah,
There's
It should take like 10 minutes.
there's something goofy with this listing.
Yeah. Call,
Send
call,
us-
Send
Send
email
us
to
an
us,
MLS.
and we'll look at it and we'll give you our honest
something,
opinion.
I think it's the
Yeah.
fact that it was occupied.
Yeah.
Right, but there's some techniques, like I have to admit, I got goofy with the house I went under contract because there's so much inventory and the consumer's lazy and they see what's fresh and new. So yeah, we took a price reduction and gee, I accidentally put it temporarily off the market. Oh, it was a mistake. So then 5 minutes later I had to put it back on the market. I felt so silly to have made that mistake, and then of course it showed up in the feed as back on market. So I mean, there's
I hate
just
it when that happens.
I know, but my point is, you have to be strategic. Sonia, there's something going on there, we don't know what it is.
Send us the MLS and we will give you our
Yeah,
opinion.
and then David, if I can, I'm gonna throw out a little plug. The lawyers' titles reps actually will, if you choose Lions Desk, I believe they have a deal worked out with
Yeah.
Lions Desk that.
I think it's $20 a month instead of 25. Or
Yeah, you get a discount, so Kim Hickey or
Taylor Cat.
Taylor.
Taylor or, yeah, any of those gals can
If
help.
you need their numbers, reach out to us. We'll give that to you as
And I
well.
love lawyers title. Guys, we're out of time, and you thought we were gonna have a hard time filling an hour, so, if this was helpful, and you have ideas, we could maybe reassemble. We caught Karl sober, which was like big nose on a Friday. Sherry's wearing red. Mike's got
I
red.
have a red hue.
Remember everyone deploy.
I'm gonna work at home
That's
fire.
what the red means.
And I'm gonna end with one thing that I got the best response from one of my classes. And I put up on the board, Sherry, you were there, I put up a red dot, and I asked everybody, what color is that? And everybody said red. And then I put up a green dot, and everybody said, I said, what color is that? And everybody said green. So everybody said, absolutely, there's no way that I could argue. And then I said, except that I'm colorblind. And I couldn't see the difference between either of them. That's the market we're in today. Don't take anything as it is. Everything's changing. Take what you can out of what we have and make it work for you.
We want to thank you guys.
We'd like to thank you for joining us at the.
And thank
My
you
Home
for
Group
joining
Church.
us on our
Don't
holiday.
touch him.
Yeah,
Don't touch him.
wait, Mike,
Now I gotta go in quarantine for 14 days.
You guys are very irresponsible. Wow.
I had a buddy told me the other day, I said, hey, this COVID thing's crazy, huh? He goes, I'm licking shopping carts, I don't care.
It's funny
I'm like,
because
dude, seriously.
I don't know what to say after with no handshake or hug. I'm just a fish out of water. I'm sitting there going, I can't do it, so it's hard.
I'm not gonna touch that one because Sherrie, no. Okay. Okay,
Have a great
Karl,
day.
cut the feed. Everybody have a great day.
See you next
Give us
Friday.
an idea of what you want for next week. That was awesome.
Yeah.
We're still
wait,
filming.
wait.
Stop swearing, Karl.